not have this
You
knife on
okay? You
campus.
can't take it off me. You want me to take the whole thing off?
The 338. Can you advise your location?
You want me to take the whole thing off?
If you would sit up for a second.
What are you doing to me, bro? Okay.
And that is a UNC Charlotte campus police officer harassing a student who was allegedly carrying a knife or a dagger. In fact, the student, who is of the Sikh religion, was carrying an article of religious faith known as a kirpan. A kirpan sort of looks like a knife or a dagger, but initiated Sikhs are required to carry this article of faith on them at all times. And typically, the kirpan is sheathed on a strap which is underneath their clothing. All of this could have been determined within about 10 seconds of Googling had the police officer actually listened to the student and bothered to try to confirm what the student was saying. But the officer instead decided, no, this guy is simply resisting. If the officer had done a basic Google, he would have realized that kirpan comes from two Punjabi words. First, kirp, which means acts of kindness, and an, which means honor and self-respect. It's honorable and self-respecting for Sikhs to carry a kirpan. But of course, the police officer couldn't be bothered to look up any of this or try to confirm anything that the student was saying. Instead, the officer then handcuffed the student for resisting.
So right now, you're just being detained.
Okay.
As you heard, the student managed to laugh at his predicament, and despite being humiliated, he was eventually released. Nonetheless, it took a few minutes, and this video, this 45-second video of the humiliation, has gone viral, and it has prompted a formal apology now from the University of North Carolina Charlotte Chancellor. The head of the university says, "We will use this as a learning opportunity by engaging in constructive dialogue with Sikh students and all employees." A dialogue, though, is not enough, and here's why. Most academic institutions in the United States, most schools, most employers, a lot of travel hubs all spell out what a kirpan is and that it is exempted from rules against knives and weapons and whatnot. It is recognized under the law by all of these institutions as something that, yes, Sikh believers are allowed to have on them, even whether they're in school, whether they're in work, whether they're even traveling. And yet, UNC Charlotte, rather than say, okay, we're going to bring our guidelines in conformity with everybody else and recognize that this is legal, no, they're simply going to have constructive dialogue on all of this. Well, that is an embarrassment. Today, this particular video has gotten more than 4 million views, and you can probably understand why. A lot of people are made very uncomfortable by a police officer just sort of boldly harassing the student without really sort of trying to show any empathy or sympathy for what the student was doing. The police officer had simply, I suppose the police department had received a call saying, oh, there's a student with a knife. And the officer, rather than inquiring and asking questions and trying to be a sort of understanding, immediately tries to grab this kirpan from this young man. And when the young man says, no, I need to have this on me, the officer goes hands on. Well, unfortunately, there are a lot of comments in social media, not most of the comments, but there's a significant minority of comments from people who are saying, well, this kirpan should not be legal. It's a knife. It's a dagger. And that goes to show that in the United States, we are still very much of a racist, ignorant society. The idea that we would have people saying, well, wait a second, something that kind of looks like a knife or a dagger should not be legal, even if it's a established article of religious faith, well, that's a problem. And yet people carrying around AR-15s and guns in schools, in public squares, in travel hubs, somehow that's okay because we have must-carry laws in so many states. I'd actually be more afraid of somebody with a gun than somebody who's carrying something that looks like a knife or a dagger. But in any case, we are still very much a racist and ignorant society in all of this. And if there's one silver lining, it's that, well, perhaps now we can actually have some conversations about how racist and ignorant we really are in America. And maybe that's the first step towards trying to get some sort of change. I'm David Shuster. Thanks for watching. Tell me what you think in the comment section.